This is the Leading Second podcast, where we're on a mission to equip local churches everywhere to raise up uncommon leaders. The Leading Second podcast releases every Thursday morning, so hit follow and share this episode with your team. Now, let's jump into another episode for all of us who lead from the middle. This is the year of the leader. This is the Leading Second podcast.
Leading Second. Welcome back to the Leading Second podcast. So excited you're here today. My name is Brandon Stewart, and we have another important conversation teed up today for all of us who lead from the middle. If you serve on your church team, you want to see the vision of your church move forward, Leading Second is for you. So welcome home today. Welcome to our tribe. And hey, today we have a great conversation lined up for you on leadership with the one and only Nathan Finochio. Today is going to be fun. It's going to be enlightening. It's going to be a little different. And we're so excited to have you here in this space. Before we dive into the interview today, though, I want to highlight Leading Second coaching groups. We're back for another year of coaching groups for Leading Second. You know, our coaching arm of our ministry serves as a catalyst for team health and organizational momentum, and our coaching groups are specifically designed for executive pastors, campus pastors, anyone who serves on your church's lead team to help you master the art of second chair leadership. We want to help you stretch your capacity. We want to help you develop personal leadership rhythms. Ultimately, we want to connect you to coaches and connect you to other brilliant leaders in the same seat as you in the church. We've had such a successful year of coaching groups this last year. So we're back with year one and year two of Leading Second coaching groups. You can head to leadingsecond.com/coaching for more information on that. It would be our honor to take your application, to pray with you, to walk with you, and consider if coaching groups are right for you this year. All right, well, the one and only Nathan Finochio is joining us today on the podcast. We sat down with him recently, a couple of us, Kyle Heinecke from Fresh Life Church, Pastor Joshua Bingle from Genesis Church, and we just started having a conversation on leadership development, stewarding your calling, and it was far-reaching. And we're just going to dive you right into the middle of the conversation today and hit some topics I believe that are going to be helpful and that Nathan has such a unique perspective of. Of course, Nathan Finochio is the founder of Theos U. He is a once-in-a-generation voice. There is no one like Nathan, and we're so thankful for him and thankful to have him in this space today. So without further ado, here's our conversation with Nathan Finochio. I want to talk for a minute about anointing. I'm kind of referencing your book, Killer Church, here for a minute because, this is Leading Second. We are a tribe of leaders that want to hold our pastors' arms up. We want to carry vision with them. We want to move the church forward. And I love how you describe anointing in your book, and you talk about there's a specific purpose you've been set apart for. And I think you would also argue that the same could be said about churches, that there's an anointing, there's a purpose for which a church has been set apart. Why is it important that a leader understands this and even understands that not just about their life, but about the church and the house they're a part of? Because, we really try to show leaders that we're here to carry something on behalf of our pastors for the house, to move the house forward. What would you say about that?
Yeah. So I think that everybody's been graced. Paul said, according to the grace that's been given unto me, I labor. I worked. I labored. And when you're graced for something, things just work. The only way you're going to find out what you're graced for, there's a couple ways you can find out what you're graced for. So the first thing is the process, right? So that process of growing and discipling. And going to Bible college, and in those years of training, you begin to find out what your aptitudes are, how you've been graced, the gifts that God's been giving you, your passions, what makes you come alive. Passion, the Latin word literally means to suffer. Your passion is what you are willing to suffer for. And so,
Great.
there's certain things that I will suffer for because I just so love them. They're my passion. So you begin to identify your passions and your passions and your callings and your values, your value system, and you begin to discover your graces. You have a pastor, and he begins to notice things that you're graced for, and so you begin to notice these things, and you get to notice that you're not graced for, and one of the grace robbers is comparison. When you start to compare yourself to other people, what can happen is if you're a pastor, you compare yourself to other people, you adopt their values, you adopt their passions, you adopt their system, you adopt their everything. It's Saul's armor. You try to do it, it doesn't work. You get frustrated, and then at some point, and this is kind of what your 30s is. Your 30s is really, particularly your late 30s. It's if I was talking to a 20-year-old, I'd be like, your 30s is when your life falls apart and then you get put back together. And so it's really a time where, particularly for men, it's like, your 20s is you're just, because we learned medically, so you're just copying everything, and you should be, and so you're just copying and you're just gathering information, and you're trying to do stuff and see what works. And then in your 30s, you hit the wall and you're like, wow, I suck at that, but I'm good at this. And then you reinvent yourself. Hopefully you do it quickly, and then you begin your life's work. And in your 40s, men start to really kill it because they've been assembled back together. They found out what they weren't and what they were. And that anointing idea is that it's like you find out what you're anointed for. Every time I do this, it just works. It's like it's easy for me, and it's so difficult for other people. And on top of that, I'm passionate about it. And on top of that, it makes me come alive. And on top of that, I feel built for it. And on top of that, when I do it, and there's an effortlessness and there's a grace, it really impacts people's lives. And I keep seeing it, and it keeps bothering me. I call it a prophetic bothering in the book Killer Church. I believe that your anointing is attached to your prophetic bothering. If I see something wrong at a church, I think that when you see something wrong, you're the one that's supposed to fix it. If you see something on the floor, pick it up. If you see something, instead of me telling my wife, why is this? Why is this? No, just if that bothers me, then that will be the thing that I will fix. Right.
Right. So,
but when you're the terrible thing, and people come alive in that, and people are attracted to that. You'll be successful in your prophetic bothering because all your energy is there for it, and people know what real authentic energy is, and they know what you're just saying. It's like so that is what will make you stand apart. That's what will make you cut through the white noise. That's what will attract the people that you're looking for, because you attract what you really are. Man, the scariest thing about being somebody else is that you begin to attract people that you absolutely can't stand. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts about that leadership thing. Man, if you're a pastor and you can identify those things, and yeah, maybe it's a bit shameful because you're like, this is because it doesn't look like the guy who you emulate. And it doesn't look like your hero. Oh, I wish I was just like Chris Hodges. It's just clean cut, and he's a golfer, and everybody loves him, and he's so sweet. But you're not. And so, you just have to be who God's called you to be, and you have to be bothered about the things that you're supposed to be bothered about, and you're supposed to fight battles that maybe other people won't fight that battle, but you're called to fight that battle, because that's really where the grace is going to be, where the anointing is going to be, where your effectiveness is ultimately going to be.
Nate, since we're talking to second chair leaders and people that maybe have some really tight guardrails on them, you've served in that position. What would you say? So based on everything you just said,
Yeah.
How would you counsel someone to live in the tension of that, having that prophetic bother, living into the grace that's on you, and still honoring the position you've been hired for, like, making sure that you are serving the house? Because it could be, well, I'm just not graced for this. And like, well, that's what you're paid for. So do that.
Right.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. So there's definitely, it's a great thought. So there's a threshold, isn't there? There's this interesting threshold in your 20s and your early 30s. There's this I'm taking it out of context, and it's not what it means, but I'm going to bring an application. It is good for the young man to bear the yoke in his youth. And in your 20s and 30s, it's good to bear the yoke.
Yeah.
They yoke a young bull with an old bull to keep him, for him to learn the yoke and to learn the submission and to learn to cut straight lines, etc. To learn steadiness. So that's the idea of the proverb. And I think there's a lot of merit. The leadership application could be, hey, man, you're young and you're figuring it out. So just enjoy figuring it out. So you don't need to be, you're not the senior pastor, you're not calling the shots. This is your season of playing, of being second, of leading second. And as a young leader, this is your season of learning. You're learning everything, you're asking questions, you're observing, you're making lots of mistakes, and you're learning from those mistakes. And it might not feel like you are, but you actually are, and you're gathering so much information, and you're learning at a faster rate than you ever will, because eventually maybe one day you're going to be all alone, and it's going to, you learn a lot slower. But all that to say,
a lot slower.
There's an aspect to that. Maybe though, as you're learning, and even these singular leaders, these guys who are going to be a pastor, they're going to be a future senior pastor. They have a season where they bear the yoke and they become a number 2 guy, and they're learning. But maybe you reach 35 and you realize, I don't ever want to be the leader guy. I just want to be the second guy. That is your prophetic bothering. That's your anointing. And you begin to realize that, like, well, that's what I'm called to do. What really excites me is lifting up the hands of my senior leader. What really excites me is building his vision. I just love that. I love being an executor. I love being a CEO. I love being support staff. And I love, where I'm at. And I realize that most of us, I think that it's like, just to bear the yoke, and know the season that you're in. What is my prophetic bothering? That might be like a 30 something. In your 20s, just shut up and bear the yoke. Just serve. Just it's a season. I think it's more of a season thing than it is anything. But then that prophetic bothering, I think it begins to come on you. It's like, wow, this is what I'm really made to be. I think it's something really that you discover in your 30s, and as you get older. I just don't know if it's something that really I think it's something that you discover, and you discover with other people, and you discover in servitude. It's like how Elijah found Elisha. Elisha was in his father's field, bearing the yoke, and the mantle found him there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so that prophetic mantle will find you in the place of servitude, serving another man's field, serving another man's vision, serving another man's dream. So I think it's like a season thing.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
Nathan, I want to run this by you. So I have loved following you on Instagram for so many years. That's why you have like 80 unread DMs from me. It's fine. So, but what we all love is your vibe, right? Your Nathanness. It's something that's so natural to you, and we all love that. But I also think it's like we're seeing the far more developed Nathan, now, and so
yeah.
What was that like? How many bruises did you have to endure on your head? in the development process without sacrificing who you are. But you've remained so honoring of pastors and previous churches and leaders. You just never seem to take that bait, which I think is a remarkable quality about you. But at the same time, you fit the cultural moment. You fit the place that God has put you so well. I don't know. I guess my question would be, first of all, what was that like for you? And then also, what was demanded of your leaders through you? How do I help somebody like you become someone like you today?
Yeah. Okay. So firstly, by the grace and the mercy of Jesus Christ, I never got into ministry in a really necessarily a public or profound way, in my 20s. So, I feel bad for people who have Instagram in their 20s. It's like, it's awful. It's just absolutely shortcuts, robs them of all of the,
So true.
The secret place of God, the hiddenness of God. And there's something that is so beautiful about development and process and being unknown. And so, yeah, in my 20s, I was just completely and totally unknown, and I was just working at my dad's church. I went to Bible college. I was an absolute nobody. I was the class clown. I was an idiot. I mean, everybody knew me on campus, but in terms of my church involvement, I hardly did. I did what I could, but nobody wanted to use me because I was just known as an idiot. I played on the worship team, but they wouldn't let me lead worship. I wasn't squeaky clean enough. I'd been kicked out of Bible college a couple times. I was ultimately kicked out a third time and just informally dismissed in my fourth year. I was just a stupid pastor's kid, but I was trying to figure it out. I had some flesh stuff, just like every 20-year-old boy or whatever. But working through carnality, in my early 20s. But like, I was a good guy, I didn't do anything stupid, just stupid enough to get me kicked out of a strict Bible college. But but all that to say, went home, worked at my dad's church after a summer of working in a Toyota factory. And my dad was like, I won't hire you. I'm not going to hire you. And I'm like, okay, well, I could do this. And so I had to sign an honor code with my dad, and he gave me like a second chance. And I served. Yeah, exactly. I served my dad pretty faithfully. I was leading worship. I was a youth pastor for about 2 years, 3 years, 2.5 years. In a town in the middle of nowhere. I was probably just as opinionated. I was probably read just as much. I was more into music at the time. I put a lot of time into music. So all the time that I would have been studying, I put it all into music. So I kind of front loaded my life that way. And then my music kind of fell apart when I was about 29. I moved to New York when I was 27, and got married when I was 30. About age 31, Carl Lentz and Joel Houston Pity hired me because I was broke and my music career had fallen to pieces, and so they hired me as a Bible teacher, and that's when I started to do what I was doing. And but yeah, I don't know, like, I was unsteady, but I was submitted. So that's kind of probably been the theme of my life, is like, I'm like this kind of unreliable guy who's reliable. So I'm unpredictable, but I'm faithful. Like, I'm unpredictable, but I'm orthodox. I'm unpredictable and I'm kind of loopy, and but I show up, and I stay under authority. I stay in the church no matter what. So it's just showing up every day, and just working through everybody has dysfunction, and nobody's arrived, and nobody's perfect. And so I'm just a guy who just keeps showing up. I'm not the smartest guy. I'm not the best musician. I'm not the best thing. I just show up, and I just stay in relationship with pastors and with spiritual fathers and friends. And I'm still working on my craft, so I'm probably just the same guy as I was. I'm 40 when I was at 30, when I was at 20, but maybe I've learned a couple lessons. So
Kyle alluded to it, and there's a question I want to ask about, because you are somebody who, as I've observed and known you over the years, loves the local church. Been in rooms with you with pastors who are like generals in the faith, and you're always asking questions. You're not the guy who knows it all. But I know, just like with all of us, and there's going to be people listening to this podcast who have disagreements with their pastor, or I would have done it this way, I would have done it that way, or why are we doing it this way? The question is, are there questions you ask yourself when you're in moments of disagreement? Because you've remained so on.
Yeah.
Are there questions you ask yourself? Is there a rubric you work through to be like, should I bring this up? Do I need to get over it? Because there's going to be a lot of people listening who have disagreements with the way things are run, and they're trying to be faithful. Like, how do you work through that?
Yeah, so I think I guess I've been on a process of discovering what I believe. I think that we're all sort of doing that, so it's like, it's a process. In your 20s, you don't know what you believe. Everything's just sort of in the realm of the ethereal. It's not really been incarnated yet. It's all metaphysic. It's just gymnastics. And then in your 30s, you start to go, oh, these are my values. So in that process of discovering your values, your convictions, and many times, what's happening is your method. Well, if there's any intentionality, the method is beginning to inform some of those things. You're putting your method together, and you're going, man, this is how I come to my conclusions, and this is a conclusion and now it's become a conviction because I trust this method. And so you start to find people that there's a real unity. You have, with those core things about yourself, not a false unity, but a core unity. Can two walk together who are not agreed? Right. And so you find people who you have enough core values and distinctives in agreement, and then you begin to just walk with them. So that's kind of been my thing. So like, I was at a church for a while that I was just discovering what I believed, and I think that the leader that I was the pastor of the church at the time, he was discovering what he believed. And maybe I knew what I believed deep down, but it needed some challenging. And maybe he was discovering what he believed, because it was being repeated constantly and over and over and over again. And, so his value was evangelism. And I saw that, I was working through my values. I'm not sure what they were. I loved the methodological advantages of his brand of evangelism. I saw that it worked. And the part of me that's utilitarian was like, this is good. But when it stopped being good, then it was like time to reevaluate, why isn't this good? What's not working here? What are some of the underpinnings? Why does this person believe this way? Why are their methods like this? These seem to be their motivators. This is what's informing this is their philosophy. it presupposes their method, and this is why they do the way they. I don't agree with that, and I see that this is not, So, anyways, all that to say, but I did that all the while being honoring. I didn't. I didn't I didn't take to Instagram and start lighting my pastor on fire or lighting my church on fire or anything like that. I was working through all these things. Mary held these things in her heart. And so I think that if you're in the process, you're at a church and you're trying to figure it out, and you're like, maybe you're at a church and you're just trying to, is this me? It's okay to work through your philosophy. Yeah, in fact, you should. You owe it to that pastor to be with him heart and soul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you need to be asking those questions. And then if you can answer them, and you're like, man, pastor, I'm with you heart and soul, then everything's the better for it. But if you've had to contemplate, you've had some time of reflection, and you're going, I don't think that we share the same ministry philosophy, thus we don't share the same value on these methods, and I think that it would be better for this church if I went somewhere else, so that I don't become, because I don't want to be a problem. And but bottom line, these are conversations that nobody wants to have, because nobody wants to lose people. But at the end of the day, we're all losing people. We're all gaining people.
Right.
It's better if we just get a process, get an honoring way to do that. So yeah, I left pretty quietly when I left my church, that is until I got personally attacked. But I never attack. I don't make a habit of attacking people. I make a habit of attacking ideas. Anyways, it's hard. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard. I'm imperfect at it. I think we're all imperfect at it, but I want to be better at it.
Yeah, it's such a tension. I don't know if it's a tension we ever escape. Nathan, we love the way you think. Thanks for just a conversation today to help us elevate our thinking, challenge our thinking a little bit. We appreciate you. I do want to ask you one last question before we let you go today. I'm just thinking about my pastor and where he's at right now. I mean, we saw a lot of leaders in our church fall off, in the last 3 years, certainly, at least in our church, starting in the summer of 2020. We just saw a lot of leaders exit for various reasons. And my pastor right now is so hopeful about emerging leaders in our church. Like, my pastor wants nothing more than like the young leaders in our church coming up to get it. And he has pretty much pushed every chip he has to the center of the table on that, that place right now. So let's talk to those leaders, like those, young leaders of potential sitting in churches today. Like, what would you say to them to help them go the distance today? Like, in this culture, what are they going to need to stand and to go the distance for their pastor with what we're staring down and facing today?
I would say a couple things. So number one, don't trust your instincts. Your instincts a lot of times are formed by secularism. They're informed by, your political instincts. Gen Z's politics are so bad.
Horrible.
They're literally, they are on target to do more damage than the boomers did. They're the new boomers. Like the boomers.
I saw you say that the other day. I thought that was really intriguing and interesting.
Yeah. So if you think of it, the boomers wrought about the sexual revolution, which literally obliterated our society, and it's still, people wonder, why are we so fractured politically? It's like sexual revolution, just right there. That's the only reason why. And Thomas Sowell believes that all the race stuff that we see today is because of the sexual revolution. Like he locates all of the problems that the Black community are facing right now with the sexual revolution. So it's actually like it permeates literally everything.
Yeah, it does.
So I think that Gen Z are on the path to surpass the damage that the sexual revolution did. So, and that has to do, and that's the whole gender thing. It's like the absolute and total confusion with sexuality. I mean, I really think it's going to take a war for Gen Z to learn about morality. It's kind of like Israel and the judges. It happens. It's just generational. It's a generational thing. We become stupid, and then we need to learn about our own mortality. So I'm not hopeful. I'm hopeful about the Church of Jesus Christ. I'm not hopeful about that generation. And I'll say this about generations. Man, I'm really crapping on Gen Z today. It's fun. So I'm not this guy. I actually never do this. Think about the generation that died in the wilderness, literally an entire generation. And God was just like, I'm just going to wait till you're dead. Oh, I'm going to build my church. Trust me, I'm going to get what I want. I'm just going to wait till you're all dead. So I think that it could be a situation like that. It literally could be a situation like that. I don't want it to be. I'm not prophesying it. I'm just wondering. Okay. The reason why I'm wondering it is because of their political instincts.
Right.
Secularism. Now, I think that secularism is lost. I think that all the power of it, they're at their end because they don't even believe the things that they're saying,
Right.
dude. We're at the point where it's just like, it's so stupid that people are now beginning to publicly ridicule how stupid it is. And these are not Christians.
Right.
You know, when Elon Musk and Joe Rogan and Russell Brand are going, this is stupid. Like when J.K. Rowling and Ricky Gervais and Richard Dawkins is going, this is cultural suicide. It's like, oh, okay, wow. But Gen Z are still just going full, like, you know, full bore down this empathetic hole. So it's their cultural instincts. Secularism. So I think secularism's bottomed out, and that's why I think that Gen A, you know, your 7-year-old, 8-year-old at home, they're calling them Gen Alpha because they're all on YouTube and all they do is learn stuff on YouTube. They're going to kill it. I think that they're going to be amazing.
Mm.
To Gen Z, though, I'm saying to you, your cultural instincts are literally the worst in human history. They are literally the worst in human history. So there's Romans 12 was written for you. If you don't figure out that your cultural instincts are the worst cultural instincts in human history. So that'll be my first thing. Every instinct that you have about the Bible, every instinct that you have about God, every instinct that you have about loving people, every instinct about what you think God should be, every instinct that you think about what love should be, every instinct about how you think society should work and be culturally cohesive, all of those, they're literally the worst ideas in the history of the Christian church and in the West. And you have to get rid of all of them. And you need to start reading right now old Christian books. You need to literally like these guys. This is why a Gabe Finochio is canceled on every single platform, is because of how bad the Gen Z instincts are and how medieval Gabriel is. He's unrecognizable. And that's what needs to happen is they need to become unrecognizable. They need to rebel into tradition, and they need to start reading Thomas Aquinas, Augustine, John Calvin, Luther, just literally to get all of their instincts gone so that they become almost, and there needs to be a philosophical reassignment surgery that happens to every Gen Zer. That is that's their only hope. If they will do that, if they will receive philosophical reassignment surgery, and it's gonna be just that. It's gonna be painful. It's gonna be awful. It's gonna hurt. They're not gonna recognize themselves. But that's what discipleship looks like at this level, this extremity.
I need a course on Theos U about What'd you just say?
Philosophical reassignment.
reassignment surgery.
Yeah.
Brilliance.
No, but everything you're saying, I think to your point that we're so bad at, well, other generations as well are bad at politics. These aren't conservative worldviews born out of politics. These are biblical worldviews that are born out of the deep study that you said earlier. And you have this voice now and ideals and ideas like a Jordan Peterson. And at one point you started speaking up, and I just have to say I really respect and honor that, because it feels like somebody's fighting for this generation. Even though you're hard on us, so to speak, it's true, and it's needed.
To find the episode guide, visit our website, leadingsecond.com/podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram @leadingsecond and join us on the Leading Second Collective on Facebook.